Hey, top of the morning to you. Michael here. Grandkids call me Roo. Thanks for being on the show this morning. Quick morning. I don't do a lot of Monday mornings here lately, but I wanted to pop on and tell you two or three things today that are very much on my heart, on my head, and it's a show and tell, for heaven's sakes. Wait, isn't art always a show and tell? If you're doing all the painting and you're not telling anyone or showing anyone, man, it could be bringing great comfort and peace to your life, but you also are missing out what I call just the connectivity to people. And that's gonna, it's not gonna kill you, but it certainly will leave a little bit of joy out of your life because you got to mix it up with people sometimes. You just can't stay in that ivory tower. In that writer's garret, in that locked-in studio, and paint forever and keep stacking those paintings up. Or I guess you could sell them as wallpaper later on, which, by the way, there's great money in that because we're going back to wallpaper. So here's the desk. I'm going to show you. It's top of the morning. There's a little shot of the desk right there. There's this is not the one I just painted. I keep this painting around. This is from 2019. Pen and ink. Don't forget, you can do some great pen and ink if you just lay the water to it and quit thinking. You saw that opening little time lapse I did there. I did with a Pentel, a Pentel aqua brush. Fill it up with water, squeeze out a little bit. That's what I carry in my pocket every day, along with my little smalls here. I painted those yesterday. So a quick show this morning because I got 3 or 4 things to tell you. One is it's about taking notes. 2 is about trading horses. 3, it's about an old style new palette. I've got a new palette. I want to show it to you. And then a new old book, and I'm going to paint a painting in it. So there you go. So that's what we're going to do this morning real fast. I got a cup of tea on the desk. It's Builder's tea. Yep, I'm back to Builder's tea. And Builder's in the thermos here. Builder's has, I started Builder's when I tried 50 other teas. And I bought it literally because the box said this country wasn't built on chamomile. And I just love that. There's something about the British wit. And I think they're back to their original recipe. And they're not a sponsor yet. All right. So here we go. Hey, thanks for being on this morning. Dorothy Beasley, Lori Stanley, Handelmeyer Henderson, Deanne, thanks for being on the show this morning. Deborah Lynn Tauber, thanks for being here. Deborah, you realize how many people's names start with D? There's Dorothy, Deanne, Deborah, Jennifer Thistle, Windy, Arizona. Heather Kuhlman, thanks for being on the show. There's Dorothy also. She's on. Beverly is from Greenville, South Carolina. I know that. Laura Abbott, thanks for being on the show. Some of you will jump on. Some of you will see this later. I am doing Good News Roo in the morning for those of you on Patreon. And I'm moving that show slowly. It's taking me some time to get it all together. I'm moving that show to a free public show on YouTube, and we're going to try it there. So thank you, Patreon folks, for helping me support to move that out to there. It just gives me the time to sit down here. I will continue to do the Think Like an Artist on a private page, but we're going to break that into 30-minute segments instead of 90 minutes. So all those notes will be coming to you shortly. Here we are. Some of Jennifer Yens, thanks for being on the show. So here's this painting out of the way. Let me just pick up a little bit here, and I'll show you what I'm going to do. First thing is notes. What am I always harping on other than good brushes? Buy the best brushes you can afford. If you're still painting, if you've been painting with me for a while, and you are still painting with brushes that your great-great-grandmother left you, and they're just too sentimental for you to use, then put them in a nice spooner. Do you know what a spooner is? That's the cut crystal piece of glass that your great-great-grandmother had in the 20s, 30s, or maybe at the turn of the century that they put spoons in because they didn't have kitchen. They had a kitchen drawer cabinet, but they put spoons in we have spooners here at our house. Come over for tea sometime and you'll go, oh, where's your silver spoons? They're in the spooner. So they're all in there. So put those in a spooner or go to the glass shop and blow yourself one like this. By the way, Carol and I have another gift certificate from our children to go to the glass shop, and I'm going to blow another glass for my brushes. Hey, look, I don't want to be a pioneer completely, but there's something about making things yourself that really, these are the great tools, right? These are the ones you were given when you were born. So I threw out some brushes here. I have some Yasutoma bamboos here, and I also have some American Journey. These are nylon, but they are they're what we call interlocked nylon. So it's not just a nylon brush that when it's not interlocked, and I'm not knocking a big box store here, but when you go pay an entire $2.98 for 6 brushes, that's what you're getting, okay? All right, so buy some good brushes. These are interlock nylon. If you ever want to go to a sable brush, you're going to pay $30, $40, $50. And if you're selling your art and you can, if you've got places where you go, hey, I bought this for this, that's what I do sometimes. When I sell small pieces of art, it goes back into my art supplies, other than what Carol and I don't eat at restaurants, which takes me to notes. We had finished Sunday service yesterday, and I left the church with my notepad, my notebook. And by the way, I paint. I do my sketch noting in my watercolor books like this. This is a Strathmore. I don't paint on a lot of Strathmore paper, but I do paint sometimes on Strathmore mixed media. Mostly it's Kilimanjaro, 100% cotton. You guys know that. This is a 48-page water. I can't find these on sale anywhere, so they're going to run you $19, $20, $24. Great watercolor paper. It's bright white. This one I haven't even started. So I must have got it on sale it was laying on the other desk over there this morning, and I thought, I got one with a label. But when I start, I always do a Roo in the front. There he is right there. And I always put a phone number in case I lose it, which it's been known to do, but I carry it in my hand. I always just write myself a note in here. This one has a pen, and it says, write it down, Matthew, which is what I think Jesus probably said to Matthew when he got Matthew, who was very ADD, ADHD, I'm convinced. He was a tax collector. He was detail. He was great with numbers. So what I do is when I go in, I started this one on 11/6/22. So there you go, back in November. And then I just draw these little sketches and these little pictures. Some of these are actually colored because I carry my paint in my pocket and I have an aqua brush with me. And I can go through here. I can see who spoke. I can see the thought of what was going on. And all these little lines and sketches mean something to me. Now, one day, if the pastor takes off on a tangent and I'm just sort of waiting on where he's going to come back around, I'll draw a bigger picture. Actually, this was called Runaway Train. And I thought, no, it's Runaway Brain. And so I drew a sketch of a train, but you'll get an idea of what happens. And I wanted to tell you this because something interesting happened. I got a phone call from the church, or a text from Deanne, who said, hey, would you consider doing a little picture for us to post online that would maybe pull people's attention to it? So, okay, let's go back to you artists, you people who are thinking like an artist on the show. Whether you like it or not, if you're just loving your art in your shop, in your peace of mind in what you do, if you're loving that and you just think it's fabulous, stay there. If you want to ever get rid of some art and sell it and use it to connect with people, start doing that for free on small pieces of paper. You know, I give those away all the time. That's in my talk this morning too, and what I'm going to tell you. This I threw a couple weeks ago, which we were talking in the book of James. It's about stuck. I'm just stuck. And I drew this old boot, which reminded me of my old, a little bit of a Dog Patch USA boot there. And a toe stuck in this. And so I sent this off to my friend, the pastor, and just said, hey, thanks for the message. Man, do I ever get stuck? I get stuck in life. I get stuck as an artist. I get stuck in songs. I get stuck in poetry. I get stuck in so many subjects that I can't keep up. But then last week, that's what caused this conversation. And a couple weeks ago, we were talking about James and how things come into your lives and you're supposed to welcome them as friends. And I see them as an animal dropping. And so I drew this, but that was the drawing. Yesterday was another drawing about this. And so those get pushed out. And here's a connection for me. It's a connection for other people. And that's why you share your art. What if you threw out something that might just connect them? That's huge. So I don't know how you take your notes. I don't know how you take them for the show. I'm always stressing to you, good pens, good color, good brushes, good paper to write on. Because who knows where it's going to wind up with your family and your legacy. And so that's going to be the way that you communicate to some people maybe sometimes. This is what I use right here. It's a watercolor, Strathmore Journals, 48 pages. And I just fill these up, and I have 7 of them downstairs on my desk that and look, I even drew a crab in here because we talked about getting trapped when you're stuck in life. And what's worse than getting I guess nothing if you're a crab and you get trapped. So that's the thing I wanted to share with you on notes. Is that the only note journal? No, here's one by Kilimanjaro. I haven't even unwrapped yet. And I'm just going to tell you, because it's natural, don't be offended by the pocket knife. You're 1,000 miles away on the line. I love these books right here. I love the fact that they are, I don't carry this one in church because I don't like this big roll thing, but on the desk when I'm painting with it, I love it that it lays open. In church, I'm a little more discreet. I try to sit down front so I won't interrupt anybody else and just kind of keep reaching in my pocket. This is a little cleaner action for me. It's and these rip out very nicely. This is 140-pound Kilimanjaro paper, beautiful paper. It's not the natural bright. It's not the bright white. It's a natural. But I love this, and I've painted probably my way through 3 or 4 of these. It's a great size. It's roughly 5.5 by 8. I believe that's where it is. 5.5 by 8. So you do a 5 by 7 on here, give people a little buffer room if you want to tape around the edges. It's a great piece of paper. So remember to find good journals that you love and that you can use. All right. So that's my deal on notes. Yesterday, Carol and I left church. We went to a place. We sat at the counter, the bar. And good morning, everyone. Love to have you on the show this morning. Thank you for being here. Deanne says, help everyone remember the main point each week. There you go. I donate all the time, give 2 pieces. Look at you. Laurie says, I donate all the time. I give 2 pieces to the church for a basket raffle. I love it. Yesterday I drew, okay. Hey, Miss Carla, I figured you would draw a duck, okay, because you're always wanting me to draw a duck. So yesterday I'm sitting at the bar, and I just start ripping off this little drawing paper. And these are so effortless to draw on, and they cost me a little bit of nothing. I think they're, from an art store, not locally, but I think I can order them from Cheap Joe's or from Jerry's Artorama or somewhere like that for like under $3. And I don't know, there's what, 24 sheets? Come on. And so for me to just pull these around, this was Celebrate Every Day. And this is done with my Kakuno pen, just really quickly. Zip, 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 zip. Never finished till I'm shipped them. And by the way, I'm marking on this one, and they sold last night. So I don't even cut the tops off because I figured the framer may want to do that with a better straight edge than what I use at the desk here. All right. So hang on this morning if you're with me, because I'm going to tell you several things. One, why you should trade these like trading cards. Some of you are doing that now. The other is that's trading horses for me. For me, I was a horse trader in the late 70s, early 80s. I worked at a camp. We had 32 horses, and my deal was to work with all the local guys and find these horses that were camp safe. This is safe art, okay? So I painted this one, and then I painted this little crab. I didn't have a caption for him, so I just wrote, oh, crab, I got to go. I mean, I paid the check, and people were waiting on my seat at the counter. Carol and I go there, and we have lobster bisque. Now, I painted a lobster. So I had these all laid out to post like this. This is the story. I painted my shrimp cocktail. There he is right there. And I painted this little painting as the first one, really, to say, there. This is my opus today at the bar. I'm going to do this one, who sort of is the artist, think like an artist Roo, and he's painted all these others. But one of these, there was a lobster. Well, there's actually a lobster with these two right here. I had this. And so, because Carol had lobster bisque, and so I did my little lobster. And so the folks sitting next to me, they had sort of, I know they felt like they were being nosy, but they weren't. It's art. You're welcome to look at art. If you're out painting somewhere, and you want people to look at it, but you want that conversation. But this lady looked over and she said, "Did you just do those?" And I went, yes. I mean, because I could have said, no, I always carry 25 pieces of art in my pocket, and I got a little tin cup. I'm just kidding. A very nice young couple, and they were just cool. And I said, here, this is for you. And I slid this painting over, and then she said something that made me laugh out loud in the restaurant. She looked at the others and she goes, oh my, I really love these. And I said, well, thank you very much. And she said, I'll trade you. She said, I will trade you this one for the lobster. And so I'm thinking, wait, you're going to trade me, the one that I just gave you, for one of mine that you like better. So that's how my brain is firing in. She goes, I'll trade you for the lobster. And then she filled in the rest of the blank. She said, my husband loves lobster, just loves it. And I want to frame it and put it on his desk. It's like, okay. And so anyway, so I posted these 4 yesterday, and it didn't have a lobster in it, but the person that bought it didn't need a lobster anyway, but she needed one. And so, they walked out, and I tell them what I tell people when I give them this 80-pound paper with a little sketch on it. It's beautiful watercolor. It's American Journey watercolor. Painted it. These are all sketched with a Kakuno fountain pen. There it is right there. By the way, inexpensive fountain pen, $16. So here's the thing. I said, she said, I just can't believe you would give away a piece of art like this. And I said, I'm going to be really frustrated if you don't put this in a very expensive frame, because it didn't cost you anything. And they just both laughed, and she goes, I'm framing this today and putting it on this desk. And I said, okay. And she said, but how do we get in touch with you? And I go, I sign my art. Okay, people, if you're being an artist and you're not signing your art, especially the pieces that you love, sign them. Sign them for your legacy. Sign them for your grandkids. Put a date on them if you want to. This is M. Michael 23. There's Roodoodles M23. I know that I did it. I know that I painted it 23. Of course, I know that I did this because this is my style. But that's what you're working toward. Okay, so that's how you trade horses. It has to be a win-win. Curtis Green was the old man that I used to trade horses with, and he would throw his hat down. He would take his hat off and he would sling it the first time, just in his arm. He didn't let go of it. And he would do that, and then he would sling it around like this. But when he let the hat go, I knew that we were really close to making a deal. And he'd walk off and he'd kick the ground. He'd take his hat off and he'd go, whoa, you're killing me. You're killing me. I drive these horses all the way over here. And he would talk out by himself in the pasture. And he'd come back and he goes, I'll tell you what I do. I give you that horse. You give me $400 and I'll give you this horse, and I'll take that horse and that horse. And I'm going, Curtis, I got kids coming in here who've never ridden a horse. I can't break all. So I'd go through all these things, and he'd go, whoa, you're killing me. So there is this thing about trade, and I love that some of you are doing that with your art. It's how you're going to connect. So keep it on, people. All right, 2 things I need to show you today. My old new style palette. Ready for this? You remember this thing that I've had for years and years? It's a Van Gogh, but it's filled with, it's broken. The top keeps falling off of it. It looks brand new, doesn't it? Oh, wait, you can't even see it here. I'm on the wrong page. What happened? You can't even see it. Here it is. So here's my, the color's a little harsh today, but I think it's my lighting or this camera. Hey, look, the show's staying on after I had a wrestling match with AT&T. So this I'm about ready to retire, and I'll probably just leave it here on the desk for another year and paint with it. No, I may just throw it away. But this is not Van Gogh paint. It's American Journey paint that comes in tubes. I squeeze it in these pans. But I wanted you to see, I've been on the hunt for a new palette. I've been on the hunt for something that I could use that said Roodoodles, that said me, that was just completely different than anything I'd ever heard of or seen. So you know how that is when you sort of get into it yesterday. Anybody need to trade for some snow or heat? Good morning, Jack Wolfenbarger, all the way from Florida. Good to have you on. Pat Jewett Thompson, thank you. Linda Linhart, Mary Quill, good morning to you. Glad you're here. Auction off your old one. No, Dorothy, I don't want to do that. But you know what? I will. If somebody wants my old palette paint in it, I'll auction it off for the fundraiser I'm doing for my daughter's trip to Argentina, her mission trip, my granddaughter's trip. I'll put it in the auction if somebody is interested in saying, hey, I got Rue's old palette. And I'll keep it full just like it is with all these American Journey colors. And I can probably tell you what they all are. This is not an American Journey color, and this is not. And these 3 down here are not. They are Van Gogh colors, or Van Gogh, depending on where you're from. Vincent, his brother, kept him. You know what? Vincent paid for all his art supplies and his travels. And poor Van Gogh just, man, his life was a mess. Talking about troubles into your life. But all these are American Journey. This is Gamboge, and I'll show you that on my new palette. So thank you. That's a great idea, Dorothy. Dorothy says $50. Well, I'm not going to auction off now, Dorothy, but I'm going to put 50 on the back of it for you. And you know what? That money would go to, let me find a Sharpie here. Do I have one? I'll do it. You know what? Because that money's going to, I'm going to do in April, I'm going to do an auction for a lot of paintings that I have piled up over here. And I'm going to do, all right, we'll throw it in the auction, but I got you at $50. So if it doesn't go for any more than that, of course I'm going to try and raise as much as I can for my granddaughter to go be on a mission trip with the Ministry of Young Life. All right, so I want to show you my palette. You ready? All right, I wish I had a drum roll here, but I don't think I have one. How about this? I have this applause. Look at this. I went looking high and low. I've hit it behind my, there it is right there. It is a 5-inch, they call it 5.5 inch. It's 5 inch in the bottom. It's a 5-inch cast iron skillet. Now, it's not an old one because some of you know I collect cast iron. And I collect it as in old Griswold and old Wagner's and sometimes old Erie pans. And what I do is I recondition it, bring it back up, and then we cook in it. I'm not a collector. I cook in it, and then I pass pieces on to, well, sometimes to friends, but most of the time to family. So my kids love cooking out of good cast iron. This is just a little sandwich. Literally, a grilled cheese sits right in there, and you just lay the other skillet on top, turn it over. I wouldn't use it because I do mine on a griddle with a bigger brick. But I was walking through the antique store, and I saw an old one that was like on sale for $15. And I went, oh my gosh, it's on sale for $15. And I thought, but it's got a little bit of rust on it, and I'd like to start off with one that's really black and oily. And then look what I found out as I was standing there. I thought, I bet I could just put my brush right there. You see that? Is that cool? How do you recondition them? Gracie, that's a whole nother that's a whole nother thing, but I can tell you, I have a whole article that I wrote for Grit Magazine on cast iron and how to recondition and what I do. It's a process, but I have 27 pieces of cast iron. In fact, I'll be making cornbread later this week. I do cobblers in them. We do just everything. Try not to cook a lot of tomatoes in them because of the acid. All right, so here's what I did. I ordered some, you know what, half pans, and let's see, here they are. These are half pans. These are half pans. Take a look. This is a little half pan. 5 of those will go in my Altoid box. And so on either side of that, I have a little green and a little brown. Okay? So this is what I normally paint with in my pocket all the time. Then there's a palette that I keep on my desk that's a little more diverse, a little more colors in it. This is the most colors I've ever put out, but I've tried to match this one a little bit. The reason it has 2 reds and yellows, these are duplicate colors. So I'm going to tell you about that in a second. But I want you to see, this is a half pan, okay? This is a whole pan. So what I did was I just went and I ordered a box of whole pans. Would I have liked to have a bigger square? Maybe, maybe not, because now I think what I've got is the best, and here's why. I'm going to paint 1,000 watercolor paintings out of this before I put paint in it. I'm going to take this, I want to take this to my class in Black Mountain, and I wanted something on my desk that doesn't feel like it's lightweight and it gets shoved around and a flimsy little thing. So I'm going like, no, this weighs about 3 pounds. I'm going to cut a little piece of birch for the top, and with a little thumb screw up there, so I can just pick it up, just to keep the dust off of it and to keep it. But these, I went ahead and I put magnets on the bottom of those. You see them right there? So I just put the little sticky magnets on the bottom. And this cast iron, by the way, it has steel in it. It's you can put a magnet to cast iron. So there it is right there. So here's what I have. So if you're taking notes, if you got your notebook out, I'll tell you what's in my palette straight off the top. People want to know. I want you to paint with what you love, and I want you to paint what you love, and I want you to paint how you saw it, not how I see it. Did you get all those things? But here's what I want you to do. If you ever want to know what I paint with, withhold nothing is kind of the rule that Carol and I have. When we teach, we teach. This is Gamboge. All these are American Journey colors. American Journey from Joe Miller, okay? Look, if you want to know what I paint with and see those actual colors, you can go to Cheap Joe's catalog online, or if you have one, and you can just do hashtag 857 or hashtag Roo or hashtag Roodoodles, and my picture comes up in the catalog, and there's the 6 colors that I use mostly. Okay, so if you take a look, here's my 6 colors right here, and then but I've moved some around because I use less. So there's 6 colors there. I've added a lamp black. I've added a titanium white. But here they are if you want to write them down. So you got, I'm going to do this show for about another 15 minutes here because short show this morning. I'm off and running on a mission. But I want you to know what this is. I'm going to paint one painting for you, so it may go a little longer than that. This is gamboge. Okay, gamboge, Gamboge. Sometimes there's two E's on it. This is Indian yellow. Gamboge, Indian yellow. This is Joe's red. Boy, could it get any simpler. Thanks, Joe. My dear friend Joe Miller. Joe's red. This is Red Hot Mama. This is ultramarine blue. This is green gold. This is mummy. This is Halloween orange. This is, you can go back and look at the show. This is royal amethyst. I don't think I've ever done this. I don't think I've ever given you all the colors that I use. This is olive green. It looks black, but it's olive green, trust me. This is spring green. This is, in the catalog, it's known as Andrews turquoise. On this show, it's known as Terry Tardy turquoise. Okay, TTT. This is lamp black. This is oxide brown. This is Getz, Getz, Getz gray. I didn't name it, although I have a friend named Getz, Ben and JJ. This is French gray, sometimes known as coastal fog. Used to be known as Bar Harbor gray. Yeah, if you've ever been in that fog in Maine. But it's French gray. This is buff titanium. Buff titanium, think of the chickens. And this is titanium white. Okay, so there are my colors. So I did 2 yellows, 2 reds, 2 blues, two greens, and a turquoise. There's my other blue. I did just the 1 orange. I did 2 different browns, and I did this whole flow of grays. I did not put a Payne's gray in here, although I love it, but I have 3 pens that really bleed Payne's gray, and then I have a lamp black that I can pull down. So there's my new palette. Don't you love it? Look, it's Lodge, and you know it's a new Lodge because it has the, and I don't buy new Lodge skillets to cook in, by the way. I just don't. I don't have anything against the company, but I don't like the roughness of them. The cast iron that I have are slick as glass. I mean, you break an egg in, zip, it pops out because I've reseasoned them that way. This one's got a couple rough edges. I'll probably sand down a little bit, but there it is. I'm going to put a top on it. This was actually just a fun little thing. I didn't realize this until I got in here yesterday that I could just throw the brush in the handle and keep it up off the desk. That was kind of fun. All right, so I bought, the point is I saw a used one at the antique store, and then you ready? Take notes. I came home and I went, I should have bought that little skillet, dadgummit. I think it'll work with full pans and just leave some space. I think I'm going to put a bar down in between here, like a little plastic roll, a little piece like this. Just, see how that dropped in there? You can't see it. Just to keep these separated a little bit. I didn't want them just packed onto each other because sometimes I'll get in here with a bigger brush. I'll get in here with a bigger bamboo, and I don't want to run the two together. I want a little space just to lay this in and roll it just a little bit. So that's kind of why I wanted a larger, longer full pan as opposed to a half pan. Great when I'm out and about with this palette or my other palette. Yeah, I have another one here. Okay, there they are. These are the ones that I keep in my coat pocket all the time. These are the ones I paint with at church and at restaurants. All right, so I got on Amazon and I ordered the Lodge sandwich pan, and I think I got it for $13, probably $14, I think $15 plus shipping. So it dropped off at my house. And it was one of those things where I clicked on and it said, order in the next 3 hours, and it'll be here by 9 in the morning. I'm going like, is he standing outside my house or what? So, okay, so there it is. All right, so that's my new palette, my new old palette. Old because it's got a little bit of antique in it. And yeah, I'll sign this palette if we'll raise money for Lilybug. That'd be fun. She would love that. I sold my old palette. What a great idea. All right, when you're done painting, you can fry an egg. Most certainly. Where is Payne's gray? Miss Carla, I answered that. I've got 4 different grays up there, and I have 2 pens that bleed Payne's gray. So my Payne's gray, and I also have a black lamp black so I can water that down. Let me show you my next purchase. Cost me $1,400. Oh no, $14. $14. Look, it's American, and I'm going to paint. So here we go. You've been on a half hour and I haven't even wet paint yet, but I've showed you what to do. Modern American painting. This book was written in 1938, 1939. The copy was. It was published in 1940. So it is an antique book. And it's worth, oh my gosh, it's worth unbelievable amount of money. It's worth $5.95 because I looked it up online. And I'm going to take it with me to the art class I'm teaching in Black Mountain, and people are going to paint on it a little bit. But I want you to see it. And it says some great things, and I'll share those at another show. In fact, there's a whole thing here on about give credit where credit's due and how art came to America. And then there's all these paintings inside here. There's some plates in here that are just fabulous. In fact, one of my favorite paintings in the book, one of my favorite paintings that I've ever seen in a museum is here. And of course, I love this one. This is Chinkapin Jones and Daniel Boone coming through the Pennsylvania rough into the mountains of the Appalachians when they were coming into settle Boone and North Carolina and Asheville and all those counties. So it's Daniel Boone with a band of pioneers, and it was by George Bingham. And I've seen this thing, and it's absolutely fantastic. So these are a lot of paintings. But what I'm going to do this morning, and what I'm going to do on my trip, is I'm going to just show you what I'm going to use this for on my trip. Okay. All right. So here we go. I'm going to move this over. I'm going to go right here. Let's see if I can do this a big old book without me moving something else here. Let's see if I can move my computer over, move my microphone out of the way. I have to reset my whole studio here to make you guys happy. Where's Payne's Gray? She says. Donna Buckley would have asked that question had she been on the show this morning. Thanks for being on the show. Thanks for being creative. Listen, you got to make something. All right. I've got an old Flair pen. I've got a Safari. And by the way, Deanne ordered these for me for something that we're doing at the church, and there it is. This is and I use it in my journal, but I also brought it to the desk this morning. This is a Metropolitan pen made by Pallette. By the way, these pens are both made by Pallette. I probably own, 6 or 8 of these pens here like this. This is the only one that's orange. Great inexpensive fountain pen. So's this one. I think it's still only about $16 or $17. This is a medium point, and I'll sketch with it in this book. So here's what I thought I'd do. Let's put on some music, and then let me just paint something here real quickly. The Breakfast Palette. Miss Carla, I like it very much. Well, it seemed only right, didn't it? That the logo is a fried egg, and so what do I paint but roosters, huh? So didn't that seem like it made sense to everybody? It did to me. All right, so what I'm going to do is what we just did when I started painting through those weird and wonderful words for some of you. This paper, by the way, the reason I really bought the book is because the paper is just fantastic. I think it's going to absorb a lot of water. I have never touched it yet, so this is completely working without a net here. And I didn't even read this page. Paintable Beauty. William Chase, a versatile genius who insisted on technique ahead of subject matter. Uh-oh. See? He and I are not going to like each other anyway. He insisted on technique instead of subject matter. And I say, phooey to that, Mr. Chase. But he did say there's paintable beauty in a dead fish. So my point is that if you've got great technique, and maybe he is right, and maybe I got off too long, so maybe it's the fact that, how many can see beauty in roosters? And so for me, I'll say, I still think that's the subject matter, but we'll take a note and see. I think I'm going to do this with I think I'm going to do the first one with a Flair or Sharpie. Let's see. I'm just making some marks here to see how this goes. You see, I'm just doodling in the book to see. Oh no, I'm going to paint it with a Sharpie. You don't see me do this much. So here we go. Just going to do a big old rooster right here. Who needs a net? All right. There is printable beauty in a dead fish. Isn't that a great quote? All right. So here's the painting. Haven't painted a big Roo in a while, so. Gotta take your time. Gotta be very slow and strategic when you're painting something this big, right? Some of you have already seen where he's going with this. Look, I didn't know what was on this page. I just turned to it. I did not mark this previously. So those of you who think, oh, he set this up, I didn't. I love it when it just happens. But I think you see where it's going, huh? I think you can see where it's going. He's got his fly rod there, which is where I kind of wish I was in the mountains of western North Carolina this morning. It's still a little chilly up here. The trout are going like, we ain't getting up to eat a bug. All right, here we go. Brand new use. Look at this. Haven't used it yet. I'm going to wake them up. Wake up, colors. I don't want to spray my book, so I'm going to close it for a second here. Hold on a second. All right. Just give those a little spray like this, just to wake them up. I put these in there yesterday afternoon. This thing came in after I got home from church. It was on the doorstep already, and so there it is. I'm going to grab a clean brush. I'm going to use a bamboo brush, a number 2 bamboo, and here goes. Look at that. Got my palette over there. I think you can see most of it. Let's start with a little red to see how this does. Roll the red in there. Oh my gosh, take a look. I'm loving it. What great paper. It's not absorbing too fast, so I'm watching to see what it does. So I'm going to see how it takes, and also I'll look behind it and see how it's, I think it's holding up. This is pretty cool paper. You see how it's not, it's old, and so it's dried out quite a bit. So it's the first time it's had water, probably in 40 years. I mean, this book was published in 1940. Don't you love that? There's something fun about that just makes stuff. I love the fact that it's a little this Indian yellow in here too. And sometimes I use that and you don't even know that I use it. So now I've brought it into the paint so you can just see it a little bit. All right, a little lamp black up here just for these black feathers on this rooster. Look at this. All right, so this is what I'm saying when I tell you to think like an artist. This is what you've got to do. You got to say, what if I just go to an antique store? What if I buy an old book? Some of you have already been doing this. What if I, you know what my dad said, Red? What if, son, if a frog had wings, he wouldn't wear out his fanny jumping. But I say, yeah, but if he didn't think that way, he would never even been down that road. And so, frogs do get run over on country roads. We left them there we left them on the country roads for a long time until the sun dried them out and lots of cars would run over them and they were really flat and kind of pancake. We called them cell frogs. You grab them by the leg and you could throw them like frisbees. We didn't have frisbees when I grew up. All right, so what I don't have in this little palette is I don't have a little tray to mix my leg color. You know how I always had a little tray that I'd sweep in and get a little bit of gamboge and come in like this? And with the color. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to change the way I do that. I'm going to bring a little red on top. I'm going to bring a little orange on top. I'm just going to mix it right on the painting itself. What the heck? It's my painting. I can do that. I'm going to grab a little bit of French gray. I know it's one of those grays. And I'm just going to put it on top like this. And I got a little bit of this up here. I kind of like that. Kind of like that right there. That's pretty good. I'm going to make this real silver, but I'm going to put spring green on the reel. And I'll tell you why I always do that. One, it makes them stand out in a painting. Two is, as I'm looking at my fly rod across the room, here's what I see. As I look at my fly rod over there, I see a fly rod that has this color of line on it and is pushing through the reel. And so I sort of like that green. And there's a great company that my fly rod is made by a company that has green in it. And I kind of like that look. It wasn't a camouflage green. It was just a fun little green that they do. I need a little bit of this oxide here just to put, oh, look at that. That's, I believe this is, wait a minute. This, what did I tell you? I may have told you wrong on this color. This is quinacridone gold. Ooh, that's what that is. That's quinacridone gold right there. So don't you just love that color, okay? All right, so let's put a little bit of that in the root, just down here on his bottom end, just so he's been doing. And I think we got to put him in the stream a little bit, so I'm going to grab this 07. can you see the leg? Yeah, you grab the 07 here. You just put him a little bit here standing on the rock and in some water, maybe some curved around like this for a little bit of water. I'll come back and do that in just a minute. All right, let's just throw a little bit of white water in here. So what takes white water? Well, you got to have a little bit of blue in there because it reflects the sky. Then you got to have a little bit of gray in there because it just comes in like this. And then you got to have a little bit of just maybe a little bit of green. And let's just do this green gold. Oh yeah, look at that. So there we go. There's a little bit of water in here. So this stream, of course, goes on across. And we're going to get that dead fish before this painting's over anyway. So now what I'm going to do with this book is I'm going to take this book with me, and unbeknownst to the people in the class, because I don't think they know me or know they're watching right now, I'm going to rip out some pages and just say you got to read a little bit in there, and then you got to come up with your own painting based on this. And this is what I do to make my brain fire quickly. This is what you do when you sit and you take notes. You hear somebody say something and you go, how can I represent that a little bit? Hey, I'm digging this palette. I'll tell you one thing. I'm building up my bicep, holding it here like this. I like it hidden down here under this. All right. You know, I can use an hour up faster than anybody I ever met. I'll tell you that. But I kind of love it. So thank you for being on the show this morning, and thank you for working with me to just stay creative and be creative. Think like an artist. All right, so I think we need, love that. Let's see what we can do here. I think I need a fountain pen, and we're going to use this Metropolitan here. Now I've got water all over the place, so I'm going to find me and I'm wearing a white shirt as always, right? All right, we'll put that right there. And let's go right here. So here we go. Let's do this way. Let's go here. Flies oversized, but remember, we're we're doing whimsical here, you know. So I can do the size. I can do it any size I want, and because I don't have to see it exactly how it was. I see it how I see it in my mind's eye right now. I'm looking for I'm looking for a rigger brush. There's one right there, a number 1 rigger. Let's dip it in my and let's put some yellow. Let's put some yellow fins coming back on this fly. Wet brush with a rigger going to give me some of those little drifts that I want, and I also want some of those right in here on this watercolor. So how long have I been at this? Probably 10 minutes so far, maybe 10, 12 minutes at the actual painting. I want to come in here with just a little bit of this quinacridone gold. Ooh, that's a beautiful color right there. Then let's fill this in with a little bit of black right in here. And what's happening is that pen is going together also. I could have done this line in that little bit of that green, but or yellow. That would have been fun to see. Let's give this fly an eye just right there, and let's give him a little bit of red. And also, I'm going to come in with a little bit of, I'll do it with a fountain pen. Let's see if we can come in and put some feather action on this, just to give it a little detail for those people who go, you serious? He painted a feather in there? Look at that. See that? I'm going to do this one up this way, and then this one up this way, and this one this way. And then suddenly you have the makings of a real fishing fly. I kind of like that, how it comes together. Let's see. It needs a little more in the body here, and I'm just going to, I think I'm going to use some of this, but I also use a little bit more of my blue. And then I want a little more gray here. I want some of this gray. I don't think he has enough gray in him just to cover. There it comes in. See that? Oh, yeah, now we're talking. Okay, and a little more of that. Oh, man. I just dipped that right in my tea. Shoot. Oh, and I did it again. After saying I did it again. Now I'm going to have to end the show early and go get myself some tea. All right, so take a look at this. Wash that brush out. I'm going to come in with a little bit of detail here for some veining. There's the word fish right there. I love it. And here it is right here too. I love it. Okay, so how funny is it that you can turn anything that you paint into a story about a fish? Okay, it's because everybody understands fish. Everybody understands fishing. Everybody understands simple storytelling pieces. If you get too complicated in art, I'm telling you, you lose your audience. They need to be with you. They need to be thinking like you're thinking. They need to be going like, I get that. I know what he's talking about. This is what I talk about when I say that your art has to connect to people. Does that make sense? Okay. Need a little bit of this purple right here, just coming under here. It's in the water, but you got a little too much, but it's all right. I'll go back and get a little more of the blue right here, and then we'll come here and get a little of this going out this way. Now, if I had time, what I could do is I could come in here. What do you mean if I have time? All I got is time. Not true. We could do a fish coming up out of this water, but I'm not going to do that right now. I might study that a little bit, see if I want a rainbow trout or if I want a little brook trout or do I want a little freshwater crappie. I don't know what I want to do yet. All right, I need some love taps in this. Let's see, what do we do? A little bit of blue sky in this with a pencil. Just go in here and just do some of this. And maybe a little bit of splash here at the water like he's been in there. Watch this right here. Now I have it all over my computer. There we go. All right. Voila. Now by the way, I wanted to tell you this and I just thought of it. If I thought of it before, I'd have marketed it different. I am now in this book. I'm in the Modern American Painting book. So, hey, Roo, have you ever gotten any of your stuff published? Oh, I'm in the American Modern Painting book. All right. Got to do a little detail on his legs. I'd do that probably with a 555 pencil could do it. A layout pencil might work. Don't know. I'm looking to see if one will work. Let's see if, but a pen's probably going to be the best thing. Yep, I think, well, I don't know. That pencil works pretty well, actually. Put in a little bit of steel here. I also love this pencil because here's what it's doing. Can you see close up on this? Let me zoom in just a little bit here. Watch this right up here. All right, well, look right here in this red. Watch with this pencil. See, it's pulling the ink out just a little bit, or the paint out just a little bit. So what it's doing is making him not look so like he was sketched with a Sharpie. It's making him look a little more authentic and real and rough, and that's the way I love my art to be. A little more authentic, real, rough. But I love how the pencil becomes my paintbrush. I can dip it in right here and literally put some little teak feathers here. Look, tick, 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 tick. I think those are called hackles. All right, so what's the connection here? The connection is this fly is made from hackle feathers from the rooster. I'm Roo. I fish. I love fly fishing. I love tying flies. I love going and standing knee deep. I love standing out there whether or not I catch anything. It just doesn't matter to me. I will take my pen here. One more thing before I finish. I'm going to bring this line back down to the rod right here. Here it comes down to the rod. I'm going to have it come down here like this. And then go on the reel. And then a few things tangled up around that, because that's how it usually is when I'm fly fishing. All right, let me take that back out now. You can see the whole thing. Hi. What is bad when you use? Hi. All right, so now if you go away for a minute, I'm wiping the paint off of my computer. So hold on just 1 second here. Last piece of music, and I'm out of here. All right, let's just go and get out of here. Hey, listen, thanks for being on today. I'm going to recap for you here in 1 second with a little piece of music. I just saw it go by. It's right here. So, the book is called Modern American Painting. I'm going to use it to paint in the pages just like that, because what it does is it makes me think outside the box. Although I'm inside the margins of a book, it's not your normal watercolor paper. You have to use a little different touch and skill, and you mess it up as you go, for heaven's sakes. Please do not be afraid to fail at this. find some good brushes, some good paint, find something to paint on, best paper you can afford, best brushes you can afford, and don't forget to always take notes, because you learn so much by going back and just reviewing those. So this summer, when you're out sketching again and you're journaling, quit worrying about whether or not it's just going to be the perfect painting, and just do sketches over and over and over. Okay, I'm at 800 and did I paint my 900th honeybee? I think I painted it on the show. I think it's going to be 901 later this week, so I may paint that later today. I've got a couple meetings I got to run off and do. Pulling some of this in. Now what's happening is this paper now is absorbing. It's taking a long time to dry. It's going to ripple up a little bit, but look, it still isn't coming through. Ooh, just messed that up, but it's okay. Should have done that, but I did. Oh, I rescued it. A little eraser. Okay, so there we go. So, I'm digging on my palette, huh? Is this cool? Take a look. So remember, I doubled my yellows, my blues, my reds, just because I use a lot of those. And in fact, I just strung my paint through the blue there. So I'm glad I put blue and green together. All right. So cherry art with somebody. Hey, I can't take a sip of my tea. What the heck? No, I won't. I can't take it. I dumped a lot of blue in there, so I'll be feeling blue the rest of the day. Grab your tea and take a little think of who you can send a text to or a note to right now. Send them a note and say, hey, are you being creative today? I'm just thinking about you. I want to make sure you're okay. I got Dan's in the hospital. I'm going to try and visit him today or tomorrow. And so pray for that guy. So here's my wall list here. Blessings. I'll see you on Patreon for Good News Roo tomorrow morning, those of you who are on Patreon. And then Saturday, I think Saturday is still, am I still here on Saturday? I'm looking, hold on, this is important. Yes, I'm here on the 18th, and I'll paint on the 18th. I will not paint on the 25th. I don't think. I'm on the road. I'm going to Black Mountain. There's still a couple spots left in my class. If some of you want to know about the Canuga workshop class, it's in Black Mountain, North Carolina. It's there, so you can find that. I'm about to drink out of that yet. See ya. I'm out of here like a herd of turtles. Thank you, Elaine. Thank you, Deanne. Thank you, Bridget. Miss Carla, go paint a duck. The hive is growing. Yep. All right. Cue the turtles, Chris says.